Hi everybody, I'm Elizabeth from Our Paleo Family. Welcome to my kitchen. Today we're using the Instant Pot slow cooker function to make beef enchiladas. And this is basically a beef enchilada filling that you can then use to do whatever you want. You can wrap it in tortillas and bake it with cheese on top, like kind of a traditional enchilada. You can do what we're doing and serve it bowl style. So I have my Instant Pot on saute. Oh, it is on normal. I want it on high. So let me turn it back on and adjust it up to more. If you want to do the wraps, I have a recipe for autoimmune paleo friendly tortillas, and they are awesome. They're very simple ingredients: cassava flour, arrowroot, lard. They're much better with lard than any other sort of cooking fat. Salt. You fry them in the skillet just till they are set. They're really, really, really good, but they're kind of a mess to make, and so I don't make them very often. But if you want tortillas and you can't do corn or flour, then I do have that recipe available on my website. We're going to do it bowl style, so you can use a base of rice or cauliflower rice or any vegetable you like. Maybe some sauteed spinach or squash or mushrooms or whatever veggies you have lying around, and make that your base. Put your enchilada filling on top and then go crazy with avocado, cilantro, cheese, whatever your favorite toppings would be. Okay, so it's very flexible. Let me tell you a little bit about what I'm doing, and then we'll talk about the Instant Pot as a slow cooker. So this is a couple things. I almost always use grass-fed beef, which is very, very lean. I forgot to buy it when I was at Whole Foods, and then I was at Costco, and Costco does not sell grass-fed. They only sell organic. So I have this package of organic ground beef, and it's like 1 1/3 pounds. That's just how they sell it. So I'll write the recipe for 1 1/2 pounds, but if you have a Costco, that's where you buy your meat. It'll be one of those packages of meat. So grass-fed is very, very lean. I need about 3 tablespoons of fat, because what I'm doing is, instead of making an enchilada sauce separately, so most canned enchilada sauce will have wheat in it. It has flour to thicken, or cornstarch, something like that, which we're trying to avoid on our anti-inflammatory diet. So I make my own enchilada sauce. But instead of making it in a separate pan and getting all those dishes dirty, I'm just going to make it in here. I'm just going to mix it in with everything. So I need some fat, because you're making like a roux and a sauce from that roux. So I hope that makes sense. If you have grass-fed beef, which is very lean, add some fat to the beginning. You could use bacon drippings, you could use avocado oil. I would not use coconut oil just for the flavor, but you could if that's what you had, or grass-fed butter. So the butter would be my choice. We've been using a lot of grass-fed butter without any problems, so that would be my choice. But I wanted to see how much fat was going to render out of this beef, since it is not grass-fed. Okay, I get a lot of snarky comments. Guys, I get so many nice comments, and people are just giving helpful tips. It's this great community we have built, and I love that. But, you know, people say things like, she's really harping on the grass-fed thing. Well, I'm trying to be helpful. This is a channel that is devoted to those of you who, like me and my family, we are trying to manage our autoimmune disease naturally with diet and lifestyle factors. It is very important what we eat. The quality of the food is imperative. So yes, I am going to harp on the quality of the food, that it is grass-fed and pastured meat, as much as you can. It is more expensive, so as much as you can. But so for those of you who are just watching for the Instant Pot, you know, I've gotten a lot of comments from people also saying, you know, I don't follow your way of eating, but I am starting to cook your recipes, and we're feeling better. And I'm deciding to implement some of these changes. Great. I'm so thankful. I'm very happy. That that's the point. You know, I'm trying to help people eat well. Nobody wants to eat food that doesn't taste good, right? Eat food that tastes good and fuels your body well. So my meat is cooking. It smells amazing. I'm going to go ahead and add my spices. I know I told you I would talk about the Instant Pot as a slow cooker, and I will. I promise. Okay, so we're going to start with a ½ teaspoon of salt. We'll move that over when I finish. A ½ teaspoon of onion powder. I've been exploring the, looking into the diet for SIBO, small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, and onion is something that is not recommended if you're dealing with SIBO. So if that's you, just leave out the onion powder. Cumin, 3/4 of a teaspoon. That's my half. How are you doing? The summer is ending. It is August the 12th here right now. Hopefully this recipe will go up soon. My kids started back to school last week. In the homeschool world, we tend to start early and finish early. And that was my brother, and I'm sorry I had to decline you. I don't get to talk to him very often, but it's not a convenient time in the middle of my video. So we've been doing a lot of, I've been trying to use the Instant Pot as a crock pot. Trying to get some meals, this is not on there, that are convenient, that I can make them at whatever time during the day it works for that day's particular schedule, and then just kind of throw the rest of everything together come dinner time. I didn't measure the pepper, so just a little bit of pepper. My kids don't like a lot of spice. And speaking of spice, so you really need chili powder for enchilada sauce. But we don't like it really hot, so that's just a scant tablespoon, barely a tablespoon. Okay, let me stir this around and see how we're doing with browning and fat down in there. Okay, so I've owned 2 slow cookers in my life. Both of them, so that's my vast experience with slow cookers, okay? I know there are a lot of brands, there are a lot of models, and I'm sure they all cook differently. But the 2 that I have owned cooked way faster than the slow cook function on the Instant Pot. So I'm just going to compare what I would, I think I had Black & Decker, and I think the other one was a Black & Decker too, which is a lot older. Regular old slow cooker / crock pot to the Instant Pot slow cook. Slow cook on the Instant Pot is way slower than even like warm, the keep warm function on my great big crock pot. So bear that in mind. I think it's actually a good thing, because most recipes, if they say, you know, cook on low, it's cook on low for 6 to 8 hours or cook on high for 4 to 6. Well, most people go to work and they're gone for more than 8 hours, like 10 or 12 hours. So if a regular recipe says 8 hours, it's probably going to take 10, maybe 12 in the Instant Pot. So get it going in the morning before you go to work, and it should be good when you get home. So the fact that it's a little bit slower, I think, is a good thing. This particular recipe with ground beef, it's all going to be cooked, really. It's just going to be sitting in here getting all yummy. It's like when you make a big pot of soup in the winter time, and it simmers all day and the house smells good, and it just gets better and better as those flavors come together. That's what's happening here. You could very easily make this dish on your stove, just whip it up real quick and serve it. You wouldn't have to go through this process of letting it go in the slow cooker. Alright, so I'm looking at my beef, and there is hardly any fat in the bottom. So I'm going to get out my butter. You could use ghee as well. Okay, so I told you I wanted 3 tablespoons, and seriously, there's none. There's like no fat in there. So I'm going to add the 3 tablespoons. Because remember, we're making our sauce. So my sauce recipe calls for 3 tablespoons of butter or ghee as a starting point. So that's going to add great flavor. So once that gets melted and cooked in, I'm going to add tomato paste. My recipe calls for a 7-ounce can, that little can of tomato paste. I forgot to buy it. It was on my list, but I just didn't see it. So I have one of these tubes that's almost brand new, and this is 5.3 ounces. So I'm just going to use this, and it'll be fine. You can use just a can of tomato sauce if you like, but I really like the rich flavor of tomato paste with broth. So basically we're making a tomato sauce by combining this is a chicken bone broth with tomato paste. You could certainly use a beef bone broth, but I don't have any, and I just made chicken, and it tastes really good. It's fine to use chicken broth with beef. Now pork has a stronger flavor. Obviously fish stock would not be good, but vegetable stock would be very good. I use chicken almost exclusively, just because I think it tastes better. Okay, so I've melted the fat in, and I'm going to add, I'm reading my instructions to make sure I've done it correctly. Yes, I'm going to add in my tomato paste. Some of you are probably thinking, why can't you just use enchilada sauce from a jar? And that's a great question. And it's because there's some kind of thickener in there, and it's usually wheat. Sometimes cornstarch, if you find a gluten-free one. But it's so simple to make it. It's just the tomato paste, broth, and some spices. I'm sorry, that's not entirely true. We had to thicken it. We have some arrowroot over there. But it's very simple to make, and it tastes amazing. You can control the spice level this way, and obviously you're controlling the ingredients. And again, we're keeping it paleo over here, anti-inflammatory. Okay, so we're keeping out all the gluten and other grains, which includes corn. If it doesn't smell too spicy, I might end up adding a little bit more chili powder, but I think it'll be fine. Okay, so my arrowroot is in here, and I need 3 tablespoons. I'm going to use my tablespoon and a half. Trying real hard not to bang the edge of my pot. So we're just going to mix that in, get it all incorporated. Get it thickened right up. I'm going to add my broth. This is 2 cups. Ooh, see how it's kind of gloppy? That's the gelatin in there. Aside from being easy and liking the flavor of making the enchilada sauce this way, you get the healing effects of the bone broth. So trying to work in broth as much as I possibly can. And this is all. So I'm kind of scraping the bottom. This will thicken as it bubbles. And like I said, it's just going to cook and get all delicious throughout the rest of the day. I am going to give it a little taste for seasoning to see if it needs any more salt or any of the other spices. Something you could also add is a can of refried beans. Every once in a while I just totally lose my balance. I'm not harping on it. I'm just trying to help you understand where I'm coming from. The most recent comment I received on the YouTube channel was from someone who had watched my Greek gyro recipe and said, oh, as a Greek, it was painful to watch this. Well, we're not making things traditionally because we can't. You know, we're trying so hard to stay healthy by just eating different foods and changing some of our, you know, the environmental factors like body lotion and deodorant and that kind of stuff, cleaners. So my Greek dish is not going to be exactly like your grandma's Greek dish because it just can't be. We can't use some of those ingredients. So we're doing the best we can. This is not a traditional enchilada recipe, but it's pretty close. The flavor's going to be very, very similar. Ooh, it's spicy. Oh, it's very spicy. So, back to the beans. We don't eat beans. Legumes are very inflammatory for a lot of people. I'm on fire, including myself. And my husband doesn't really like them. My kids like them, actually. They'll eat beans out sometimes, but we can't do beans. So I won't put the beans in. But the beans would give it a nice creamy texture. Just mix them right in. But again, check your ingredients to make sure you're happy with all those ingredients that are in your can. It does need a teeny bit more salt. I added about 1/4 teaspoon more. And I'm going to have to do something about the heat level in there. So adding some cheese to top it off would be great, of course. Dairy is really good at sort of mellowing out spice. You can see how thick that is already. And here's my glass lid. I'm not sure I finished my thought on the beans, but you got it right. We're not using beans. You can use them if you want to. Slow cook. I'm just doing slow cook normal, and we're going to have dinner in about 4.5 hours. So, oh, there we go. It doesn't really matter because it's not like it's under pressure, right? It's just a slow cooker. And I forgot it does have the 3 levels, less, normal, and more, just like for the pressure cooking. So I just put it on normal. And that'll be great. So that's it for getting the enchilada sauce, meat, whatever you want to call it, filling made. And then I'll show you when it's dinner time how we fix it up and make it a delicious paleo dinner that is really nutritious, really delicious, and hopefully not quite so spicy that it sets my mouth on fire. Okay, we'll see you in a little bit. Hey everybody, welcome back. So you can see we have just a couple minutes left on the timer, but like I said before, the timer with the slow cook mode doesn't really matter. It'll shut off when that goes off, and it'll just keep it warm. But you can take the lid off, and you know it's not under pressure, so the time is somewhat arbitrary. Does that make sense? And you can very easily hit the plus and add more time if you want to do that. So our enchilada meat filling, if you added beans, it would be thicker. If you wanted to roll this up in tortillas and bake it, it would be, you might want to use less broth. So I use 2 cups of broth because I like this consistency. But if you wanted it, like I said, to be thicker, you could use less broth. Other note, maybe write neatly when you're writing a recipe and read your handwriting carefully, because I added a tablespoon of chili powder and my recipe called for a teaspoon of chili powder for my family's taste. So that is why it was so spicy. I thought, wow, is this a different, it is, well, it's not even new. I thought it was new because it was up, I thought it was up over the label, but I was like, did I get a different cayenne? What is going on? But I just read my recipe wrong. So for my family's taste, a teaspoon of the cayenne pepper. You know what? And that is my problem. The recipe calls for chili powder, which chili powder is spicy, but it is not nearly as spicy as cayenne pepper, and it has a different flavor. So I read this wrong, and I read my recipe wrong. So is it my eyes? Is it my reading skills? I don't know. The recipe is written up on the blog, and it is written up correctly. I did it incorrectly, but it tastes really good. It's just spicy. So those are my caveats. So let me build one here. We have some rice. I'm going to put in a good deal of rice because it's a little spicy. This will be for my husband. So I'll load him up, and it's a little sticky because I made this, delivered my son someplace, and the rice was just sitting there. I'm going to put his veggies around the side. This is just what I had. I had some squash, or zucchini, technically, broccoli, and I stuck a green onion in there. Okay, Then we have our enchilada meat filling. Kind of nestle that down in there. I'll load him up. He's a hungry, growing boy. I'm going to sprinkle cheese right on there now so it'll melt. And give him a little sprinkle of cilantro. I'm going to photograph this one, so I'm going to make it look extra pretty. Give him a few chunks of avocado because he really enjoys that. The creaminess of the avocado, that will also help offset a little of the spiciness. There goes my timer. It was seasoned just right, actually, with my however much salt I told you to put in. It turned out to be the right amount. Let me wash my fingers. Alright, so I'm going to make his real pretty and fancy so I can photograph it. So we'll stick a little lime on top. So that's his. Here's a corn tortilla. I'm going to put a little cheese on the bottom for my daughter. And just a little bit of this. And she also likes avocado. I'll put a little avocado on for her. And she does not like cilantro, so no cilantro. So there's a taco version, which this would work actually to roll these up in tortillas. It's just that if that's going to be your intention to fill either a taco or tortillas to bake it like a traditional baked enchilada casserole type thing, I would ease off on the broth a little bit so it's a little bit less brothy. I can't think of another word. Okay, everybody, so that is our beef enchilada. It really is delicious. Yes, you could do this fast, just do it on the stove and it could be ready in 15 or 20 minutes, but this kind of dish really benefits from a long, slow simmer, and it really enhances the flavors, especially if you use the right spices and the right amounts of spices. I would say the cayenne is good, maybe add a little bit of cayenne, but I really would have preferred more chili powder. And stay tuned, keep watching. Things are changing over on the blog. It is great, it's exciting. We're creating a community for people that are like-minded, and I think you're going to love it. It's really targeted towards people with autoimmune disease, specifically Crohn's or ulcerative colitis, the inflammatory bowel diseases. You know, it's like you know these words and you say them all the time, and then when you have to think of them, you can't think of them. But anybody is welcome, and I'm not going to tell you anything else. You just have to stay tuned, check over at the blog, keep watching the videos, and I'll just say there is exciting stuff to come. So thanks for stopping by. If you're new, I would love it if you would introduce yourself in the comments. Let us know who you are, where you're from. Hit that subscribe button and the little bell so you get notifications. And thanks for tuning in today, and I'll see you next time.